Now, you might not have been for a run for a while, but you might remember running at school. You know, you're forced perhaps to do a really long run, and then at the end you go, hell, I'm just going to use up all the energy I have, and you have that sense of being a bit like the $6 million man at the end, and you just have that huge run, that big rush. That is something that elite athletes experience a lot of the time. It may be one of the reasons they are so good at what they do. Is it the same? Is there something that links that experience to the experience craved by substance abuse, craved by those addicted to alcohol and other drugs? Let's find out more from Cameron Brown, who's a psychologist who specialises in addiction. Cameron, thanks for joining us.
No problem.
Now, tell me, have I got that right, that it's perhaps a similar propensity to enjoy that rush that links the elite sport experience with the addiction experience?
Yeah, what we're looking at is the reward circuitry in the brain. So, much like you said there in the introduction, that when we experience highs from exercise, they're much the same as the highs that people experience from drugs. Now, that's to say they're not much the same as in absolutely, but more so in the way that the brain perceives them.
So is that, when you say the way the brain perceives them, is that we're experiencing the same rush of a particular chemical in the brain?
Yeah, we experience a spike in dopamine when we do something which our brain sees as rewarding. So drug use triggers off those physiological effects in the brain, much as exercise does.
And would there be some experience for an elite athlete or an addict where they actually release more of that chemical, or it has a greater impact on their mind?
All those theories are possible. There could be more dopamine released. They could be more sensitive to dopamine. There's a lot of things there that could be different in the brain of someone who is sensitive to those spikes.
Just do me a favour, Cameron. We can't quite hear all of your words cleanly. Just make sure you don't have your hand over the bottom of your mobile phone. What exactly have you been able to measure with your research?
Yeah, I'll just clarify that it's not my research in particular. But what we have seen is both anecdotally through clients, obviously, as well as through the research. We are seeing a body of research that suggests that there is a link between some people who use sports for that reward system and later addiction.
Does it mean that athletes are in some way more likely to fall victim to addiction?
No, it doesn't necessarily. They're more likely. Just as we need to be wary, especially with high-level athletes, that they're educated properly about the risks of drug use outside of competition and after competition. Because sometimes people do try and resist those experiences and those rushes that they did have during their competitive days, and that can go awry.
That sounds like having a bet each way. That sounds to me like you are saying that actually athletes have a greater danger of becoming addicted to substances.
Well, in saying, I wouldn't say they have a greater danger, but what I would say is that they do have a greater fall from grace, I suppose. When their career ends, they actually have a tendency that a lot of their social support network, a lot of things that they didn't have meaning in their lives, things like adoration of the fans, things like training regimes tend to disappear. So then there is that need to fill that void. The vast majority of athletes do that very well and transition into, I suppose, normal or average life, whereas some we do see unable to do that.
Okay, now one other question I wanted to ask you, Cameron. What is the cabin Chiang Mai that, I know that's part of what you are. I haven't heard of it. What is it exactly?
The cabin in Chiang Mai is a residential facility, a residential addiction treatment facility in North Thailand, working with people with addictions and coexisting mental health disorders.
Okay, fantastic. Good to know we've got some good links with other parts of the world. Thanks for joining us, Cameron. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Cameron Brown's a psychologist who specialises in addictions and does work with the cabin in Chiang Mai. It's coming up to 20...